Don't touch that dial. You're tuned in to the Dread Podcast Network.
Welcome to Development Hell. For every horror movie that hits VOD, countless others end up DOA. Development Hell is the podcast dedicated to unearthing these cursed horror productions. We're going to find out what went wrong, and then decide if these titles still stand a shot at the green light. I am your host, Josh Korngut. I am a filmmaker in Toronto, Canada. This podcast is a proud member of the Dread Podcast Network. Available now from Dread, Val. Finn, a wanted criminal, hides out with an escort named Val, a demon. Val offers to make all of his problems disappear if he follows her rules. She has been expecting him all along, and it won't be easy to escape Val's dungeon. Val is out now everywhere you buy or rent movies, and on Blu-ray November 2nd. Welcome back to a brand new episode of Development Hell. We are in the middle of a brand new limited series. We are in the midst of Halloween is Cancelled. We are covering 5 unmade Halloween sequels between last week and the release of Halloween Kills, and then subsequently Halloween itself. Today we are covering a fairly interesting canceled Halloween film, if I do say so. This is going to be about Halloween Retribution. Halloween Retribution would have been a direct sequel to, you guessed it, Halloween Ressurection. The information from today's episode was provided by, of course, Wikipedia, HalloweenMovies.com, the book Taking Shape 2 by Dustin McNeil and Travis Mullins recommend it, and Fangoria, their October 2004 release. We have a very, very special returning guest with us today. We have Emily Gagne. Hi, Emily. Can you reintroduce yourself to the Development Hell audience?
It's the night that she came home. I am a longtime listener of Development Hell, but I'm also a longtime friend of the host, Josh Korngut, of course. We have known each other since we were little kids watching Halloween a little too early.
Way too early. I have memories of like in your basement midday, us just being absolutely terrified.
We watched a lot of scary movies together. It's kind of what bonded us together. If you want to learn more about our relationship, you can listen to our previous episode, which is also about we've done several episodes, I suppose.
Yes.
But we did a specific other Halloween episode.
Yes, we covered Halloween 3D, which I'm guessing we would have been covering in this miniseries if we hadn't covered it as the very second episode of Development Hell.
Yeah.
Emily, what do you do? Who are you? What's your trauma?
Yeah, I do some work for Dread Central, actually. I do the newsletter for The Harbinger. Please follow it. Please subscribe. I love writing it. The last one I talked about Midnight Mass. I've talked about Elvira, and we just have fun features from the past week. Also, I have a Instagram account called Final Girl Fashion, at Final Girl Fashion, that you can follow like anytime.
Yeah, it's killer fashion and killer ladies in horror movie fashion. What am I saying? I'm going to cut that out.
You got it.
All right, Emily, what is your general relationship with the Halloween franchise?
The Halloween franchise is probably my favorite of the major like slasher franchises. And I have loved it since I was, probably like 10 years old. I don't remember the exact year that I saw it for the first time, but I remember watching it too young for the first time, the original, and it really made a mark on me, and I couldn't watch the rest of it and then I finally did watch it, and now I would say like it's my absolute favorite movie, the original, and I like parts of the whole series, like not all of it hits for me. Michael Myers is like a scary character to me.
Why?
Because he's got the blackest eyes.
The devil's eyes. I mean, it's true, he does.
Yeah, and I think he doesn't talk, and he's just kind of mysterious in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Love a man of
Oh
mystery.
yeah.
And he just seems like pure evil. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that's really motivating him. Like at least with Freddy Krueger, it's like, oh, he's like kind of wants to take revenge. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
his thing. He also like he enjoys it, but he's got a personality that makes him feel like a little bit grounded in reality, even though he's supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Michael Myers doesn't have that. He just feels like an evil force.
Totally. There's like almost like a Lovecraftian evil blackness that kind of never is described with him. That's great. And when the franchise does try to give a reason for his evil, terrible behavior, it definitely is less frightening and kind of neuters the whole concept.
Yeah, well, we have our feelings about the Rob Zombie Halloween, especially the first Rob Zombie Halloween.
We do. And we hate them. Sorry if you like them. Big deal. Get over it. Although, we were talking about how Michael Myers isn't usually after revenge, which is true, but today in Halloween Retribution, everybody's getting their retribution in the end. It's a big theme, I would say. Revenge this time around.
It sure is. It sure is. I am very excited to talk about this Halloween Retribution, to be honest with you.
Me too. Were you, before we selected this topic today, were you aware that there was going to be a direct sequel to Ressurection?
Like, I feel like you may have mentioned it to me before, but I don't think it came across my path.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sounds
it
like
makes
me.
a lot. Yeah, it makes, well, you know the finer details of things sometimes.
Thank you.
Yes. And this is an area of interest for you, but like it had never come across my path, but it like reading about it, it makes a lot of sense that they were planning another one.
Of course. This is the era before reboots, right before the era of remakes and reboots took hold. So I guess they were still trying to figure out, if sequels were still in popular demand, or like how would you continue a franchise around this time. We've said it once, we've said it twice, we'll say it many more times. Today's episode is all about Halloween Retribution, the never-made sequel to Halloween Resurrection. I think if you agree, maybe we can start off today's conversation talking a little bit about Halloween Resurrection, the movie that sort of laid the groundwork for what Retribution could have been. Can I give you a bit of a seminar on Halloween Resurrection? Do you mind?
I would love to hear it.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. So Halloween Resurrection was directed by Rick Rosenthal and written by Larry Brand and Sean Hood. It was released July 12th of all days, 2002. It made $38 million against a $15 million budget. Emily, do you know offhand what other Halloween installment director Rick Rosenthal directed?
Halloween 2.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Yeah. We're going to get into Halloween Resurrection because I forced you to rewatch it for today, but did you find any hints of Halloween 2 in this? Like, could you tell it was the same director at all?
No.
No.
I only knew through the name. So,
yeah.
But I say we, but it is true. We both love the original Halloween too. Like we are big stands for it.
Yes.
So
Giant. All right. So how long has it been since you've seen Halloween Resurrection?
I'm going to say like a couple of years.
Okay. So it hasn't been a huge stretch of time for you.
Yeah, no. I feel like I always like every Halloween season watch like a couple of the sequels. I usually watch the original again because I just do.
How could
but
you not?
I always like to check in with a sequel, and I usually watch H2O. Like that's my number one of the sequels. But I sometimes, when I'm feeling a little silly, I might go for another sequel, and this is one of the sillier sequels, I would definitely say.
Tee. Do you remember the first time you watched it? Do you remember what that experience was like?
I was trying to think about it because I watched it with my partner Perry. Hello, Perry.
Hi, Perry.
Last night, and we were both talking about that. And I think I just watched it in my basement. Like I didn't go to the theaters to see it. I just watched it like at home, like rented it. And I remember liking it, but being really disappointed by the opening scene.
Well, I cannot wait to get into the opening scene. But before we do, would you mind if I gave you my little spiel about my origins with Halloween Resurrection?
Yes.
So if I recall, and I don't recall a lot, but if I do recall, this may have been one of the very first movies I ever managed to download onto a computer. I'm assuming around 2002, 2003. I was very excited about it. I don't know why I wasn't able to just see it normally. For some reason, maybe I didn't care enough or I wasn't allowed. Who knows? But if I remember properly, the version that I downloaded still had the original titles, which I believe was Halloween Homecoming. Does that sound familiar to you?
Whoa, that's
Yeah. Isn't
cool.
that cool? And
Yeah.
actually, the title does make more logistical sense, for sure.
Oh yeah, because he's literally coming back to
He's coming home, baby.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know anything about the Beatles, but if I did, I would sing that intro to She's Coming Home. Do you think this movie is deservedly maligned, Emily Gagne?
It's well, I did enjoy it upon this watch.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a great movie? The answer is no.
Big
But
dick.
do I like it? Like, do I enjoy it for its like silly value? Do I like watching Busta Rhymes like come face to face with Michael Myers dressed as Michael Myers? I mean, I do. I do.
I would say I do too. I definitely was on the bandwagon of like truly maligning this installment probably my whole life until this rewatch. This rewatch today, I was like, well, this is just genuinely funny. And I believe it's in on the joke to a certain degree. I don't hate the characters in a way that I used to. And
Yeah.
I absolutely don't dislike Busta Rhymes in this at all. He's very funny. And I do think he's in on the joke. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, you can't say like trick or treat, motherfucker, without like knowing that what you're doing.
It's silly, but he's committed.
He is. He's very committed, and that's why I'm excited. I'm extra excited to talk about Halloween Retribution because he does come back.
He does retribuse in Halloween Retribution. Before I get into any more questions about Halloween Resurrection, why don't we take a moment to talk about that intro, that teaser?
Yeah, so the opening of Halloween Resurrection sees Laurie Strode in sort of like a mental hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Michael comes in and kills her.
Busts in the door. He literally just like walks through the door, which is very funny to me.
Yeah. The shape comes in.
Yeah. The shape. Yeah, so they get into a battle throughout the hospital. Laurie gets some pretty iconic lines in. She's truly acting her butt off. And they do have a pretty beautiful moment on the roof where he does, unfortunately, stab her in the back. She kisses him and says, "See you in hell, Michael." And then she has a pretty iconic slow motion fall sequence.
She sure does.
I remember thinking that this really just did her wrong. And it does, because she doesn't, like, Laurie should not be dead, and not like this. In retrospect, now that I'm rewatching it with less judgmental eyes, what do you feel?
I mean, like, I always like when a series, like, kill off a key character like that. Like, I usually respect that. And I think it's just, if I wasn't so connected to H2O, that I would probably dismiss this more and be like, it's fine. But I think I love the ending of H2O, and this like completely undoes it. So I feel like that's where my discomfort is less in like the writing or even what literally happens. I just feel like it's H2O was my ending.
So it's doing H2O dirty more than it's even doing Laurie dirty. I can get behind that.
Yeah, that's my feeling. But like, I also just have this extra special connection to Laurie Strode that I think makes me extra sensitive to everything her, whereas like other Final Girls I'd kind of be like, okay, whatever.
Is this franchise extremely respectful to mental health crisis?
No,
it's not. Oh, tell me more.
Yeah, no, I mean, number one, I think Dr. Loomis needed some help himself. Like, he had...
That's so funny. I just rewatched Halloween 4 for this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
He's not doing well in Halloween 4. You know the meme I have on the internet where it's just basically him looking as lunatic unhinged as possible? It's kind of a slap.
Yes.
Yeah, that's from Halloween 4, which I did not realize till recently.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dr. Loomis, like, don't get me wrong, but like, there's also a lot of stuff with, and even in Halloween Retribution, like there's parts with Smith's Grove, and it's kind of also like an easy way out. Like, mental health and horror is such a easy connection,
like cults.
Yes.
It's an easy way out. It just explains anything. Peaches Christ was on the podcast, not to name drop or anything, and she had some interesting feedback on how she hates the Rob Zombie films. And I'm sure you're going to be aware of this take, but it was fresh to me. But in Rob Zombie's movies, it's doing it with poor people, and that's like even more of a mistaste. Mostly, yep. I had Peaches Christ on the podcast.
Well, it's an amazing get.
It'll never get better than that. Sorry, Emily. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. At least I got here first.
Truly, truly, truly. You really did. All right. What did we feel about protagonist Sarah Moyer in Halloween Resurrection?
I feel a little bit neutral.
Okay. I mean, could be worse.
Yeah, like I don't dislike her, but like she's not super memorable. And I think like I was actually going to bring up that Freddie, who is the character played by Busta Rhymes, is a final boy in this movie.
Love a final boy, which I don't know why, but I do. Yeah.
Well, it's technically subversive. So
technically, yes, it is. Accidentally, even one would say.
Yeah, they actually used the word subversive in the script for Halloween Resurrection, which I was like, okay.
Who says it? It's got to be Freddie.
Oh wait, no, sorry. Retribution.
Well, that doesn't surprise me as much because Retribution was pretty like we'll get there, but I wouldn't say it was a dumb script comparably to Resurrection. Actually, I think it was quite smart.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would say Sarah Moyer was definitely kind of boring. I could see how she was a very like modern 2002 version of Laurie Strode. A very funny opening sequence where she's riding her electric scooter like down the university alleyways, and it's like there's this like really cool music behind her, and it's like this is Laurie Strode. So she's kind of embarrassing, but I didn't hate. Like I definitely didn't hate her. I don't think I've really hated a protagonist in the series, maybe until Laurie Strode in Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I am not a fan of that Laurie Strode.
I would say that's the worst thing about that film. Okay, getting into my favorite character of Halloween Resurrection, Mr. Freddie Danger and his small business venture, Dangertainment. And what are our overall feelings about Freddie Danger and Dangertainment?
Well, this is a guy that's just trying to make it work. You know, it's clear that he's like needs money. I think like that he's got some debts to repay.
Oh yeah, is that specified? I may have missed that this time around.
I believe it's like that he's got some lawsuits and stuff, and so he's trying to do something bold, and his big idea with Dangertainment is to do this sort of live feed of these people in the Myers house. And like not a bad idea, to be honest. But he goes into it planning to sort of like basically prank these kids.
Yes.
Because he's got a Michael outfit that he does show up in. But the real trick of it all is that the real Michael is there too.
He's there, and he's a lady in wait.
Oh yeah. So
this little Dangertainment Michael Myers setup, does it remind you of a real life reality show? Yeah, by the name of Big Brother.
I was like, is there like a horror reality show I missed out on?
One called Scared Famous or something on VH1. Maybe that's the wrong name, but Alaska was on it, and it was a bunch of like crappy VH1 celebrities in a very similar setup. No, it definitely has a Big Brother feel to it, and I'm saying that because I want you to tell everybody what job I've had in the past.
Josh has worked on Big Brother Canada. So
yeah, and honestly, it was scarier than this.
Oh, it's okay, but I like some of the supporting cast in this is kind of funny. Also,
was that Ryan Merriman?
Yes, it was.
That's another final boy for the books.
Yep, he's in there, and he's from afar.
He's in afar. And that subplot was more interesting to me this time around than it ever was before. It's still stupid, but I kind of liked it. It added to the stakes and to the fun.
Also, love when I see a Pulp Fiction costume that doesn't require blackface.
Oh my god, I know. Well, I was like, ugh, Pulp Fiction 2002. Come on, guys. But yeah, you know what? The fact that it wasn't blackface, it's a win for everyone.
That's what I'm saying. But also, like, some of the people that are in the house, Sean Patrick Thomas, who was a big star from Save the Last Dance,
which was before this.
Yes. So I remember being thrilled that he was in it, like back in the day.
I'm still surprised that he's in it, and he's not a lead. He's supporting. No. He's like he's so famous. Oh, we haven't even talked about the other most famous cast member, Mrs. Tyra Banks.
Oh yeah. I mean, can't forget it.
No,
this movie has a lot of like reasons to want to watch it. Truly.
Yeah, 13 reasons maybe. I agree with you. I think it's really fun. I think that it may have been unjustly maligned by, all of us over the years. And I'm wondering if there are some, I don't know, not amazing reasons for that. You know what I'm sort of hinting towards?
Like racism?
Yeah, maybe. Because it's a
Hmm.
fairly black film. We have, like, unlike almost any other slashers at the time, we have multiple, like, 3 or 4 POC characters in this movie. And they're, like, not just in one scene. Like, they're present. And one of them lives.
Yeah. Yeah, one of them is a hero. I get that too. But I think that some people were making fun of like maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
I like, this is the worst word. I'm not using it in genuineness. I'm using it in like, this is how it was described, but I know people call this like kind of like the urban Halloween, which is so
Yes.
like
Well,
gross.
I'm sure behind, like, I feel like the gross suits who were the Weinsteins, let's be honest, at the time,
Yep.
very much did that strategically, I
Oh
think.
yeah.
Like, it
Yeah.
definitely feels like this was targeted towards a POC audience. And I think they were dipping their toes into that territory even with the previous, with H2O, with the prominent featuring of LL Cool J.
Okay, I love that character, by the way.
I love him
So,
too, and we're going to get into him pretty soon because he
mhm.
comes back into the conversation. Overall feelings about Halloween Resurrection in 2021.
I think we should resurrect the conversation around Halloween Resurrection.
I love it. That's beautiful. That's a headline. Okay,
Good,
write that
good.
down. Yeah, I agree. I was really surprised by how fun and silly this was, and it kind of didn't take itself too seriously. Maybe the worst parts are like the the blatant Blair Witch Project ripoff, like at least 3 years too late.
Yes, I would agree with that
There
for
is one
sure.
section where Sarah is like looking at a camera and it's like up her nose, and she's like, "I'm scared." And I was like, "Oh my god, this is not a reference. This is just capitalizing off of a trend." You know what? If you haven't seen it in a long time, I do recommend checking it out again.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I just rewatched Freddy versus Jason like last week,
Oh,
and I feel similar vibes from both of them in that they're just like a good time,
hmm
you know?
hmm
But are they perfect? No, they're not perfect, but they are fun, you
I
know?
mean, I watch Freddy vs. Jason once a month, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that movie is 1,000 times better. So you're being very disrespectful.
Wow, wow, wow.
Wow, wow, wow. So that was Halloween Resurrection. The basis, the foundation, as Kate Nash would say, for the never made Halloween Retribution, which I think we're ready to get into. How do you feel?
Yes, I'm ready.
You're ready? Can I give you a little bit of information about this movie that never got made?
Please teach me,
All right, I will.
Carrie Tate.
Oh my God. I will. So, Halloween Retribution, as I just said 5 times, was going to be the direct sequel to Halloween Resurrection around 2004. Development began on a sequel to Halloween Resurrection, and one of the very first writers considered was Mr. Joe Harris. Emily, do you know what Joe Harris is famous for writing?
I do. It's Darkness
Gotta love
Falls.
Darkness Falls. Anyone that knows me knows I have a soft spot in my heart for Darkness Falls and Emma Caulfield. Yeah, so that could have been an interesting take, although it probably would have been absolutely terrible. So after Joe Harris kind of got swept under the rug, Dimension Studios was seriously considering bringing back both Busta Rhymes' Freddy character as well as LL Cool J's Ronnie for a new installment because they have both survived. And technically speaking, these are the last 2 people to defeat Michael Myers in canon. So what would you have? What would you say to a Freddy, Ronnie, Michael Myers reunion?
I mean, I like all the characters. So my initial impulse is
Big
yes.
yes.
I really like Ronnie. Like I feel like he's an underappreciated character in
So
general.
I could not agree more. I want more
Yeah.
Ronnie. There wasn't enough of him. It was too much of the boring teenager.
Yeah, and I feel like I want to know more about his writing career. He is clearly a romance novelist, and maybe he could have transitioned into horror. You know what I mean? Which,
Well, and,
yeah,
and also both of these fine gentlemen are authors at some point in their canons. We're going to talk about it, but Buster Rhymes' character Freddy did come back for Halloween Retribution and has a book under his belt with
yeah,
him, which is kind of
yeah.
interesting. So we've got 2 authors. Maybe they could team up and write something super incredible.
I know.
So in 2003, after the Wild Wild West success of Freddy vs. Jason, this nearly led Dimension Studios to pursuing another monster mashup feature with Michael Myers. The main one was going to be Pinhead versus Michael. That was really in consideration for a long time. John Carpenter, I believe, was really involved with that one at one point, which is embarrassing for him. And even Leatherface was brought into the conversation for a Michael Myers mashup. Emily, if you had to pit Michael Myers against one of the icons, one of the spooks, who would it be?
My impulse was Michael and Jason, but I think they're too similar and they're too boring. So you have to have somebody that's a little bit more interesting, more personality based. So I understand why they would have picked Pinhead, because I feel like he's the alternate to Freddy in terms of having a personality and actually speaking.
I agree. All right, so between Pinhead and Michael, who's the top?
Michael's the top, is my opinion.
I have to agree. To agree. Although I think we may have two verse queens.
Oh yeah, I agree, but you know that Pinhead wants it.
Oh, he wants it, but Pinhead's down to clown. I feel like Pinhead's is trash queen and will do anything.
Oh yeah, he's game as hell, and he's been waiting around. You know, he's
been around the block. Michael, I feel like is a little bit more internalized homophobia, still a little concerned about what people may think, but definitely I think could go either way.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so we're talking about the drafts that were coming between 2002, 2003, 2004, and around this time was also the very first instance where the studio was considering bringing back the classic group of Haddonfield survivors to pit them up against Michael, which clearly has made its way down the line because that seems to be the plot for Halloween Kills. Kind of interesting, yes. Right? Do you feel like they were going back to these old school treatments when developing Halloween Kills?
That's interesting. I wonder, because I will say one of the more successful things about Halloween Retribution in my mind is the characters that were brought back. I really liked that part of it. And I think that also I get a sense, just even from some of the recent promotions for Halloween Kills, that Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be done with this after this trilogy. I don't mean after this movie, but it's possible she could get killed off in this one. But I feel like they are planting seeds, and kind of what they were doing with Halloween Retribution is planting seeds to continue the saga with characters that we already know.
Yeah, Malik, maybe. The daughter from the new one.
Yeah, yes. I think that's something that they want to continue.
Judy Greer is dying in Halloween Kills. I'm saying it now. This is my bet. Judy.
R.I.P. Judy.
Do you think Judy's going to survive?
I don't know. I really have been trying not to read too much about Halloween Kills because I want to be surprised.
I haven't read any spoilers either.
Yeah, I'm anxious about it because we have we share a sort of feeling about Halloween 2018, which we won't get into, but I think it can only go up for me.
So it should be interesting to see. So the writers at the time who eventually did produce the script for Halloween Retribution, they were British, and their names were Jim Keeble and I think it's Duddy Appleton. How would you say that?
That's how I would have said it, Duddy Appleton. I like the name. It's weird.
So we had these two writers. They were two British writers that ended up... The people that ended up writing Halloween Retribution were two British writers by the names of Jim Keeble and Duddy Appleton. They were not known for horror. These were two comedy writers. I believe they had written a book and an indie comedy film, but the Acads really believed in them and what they could do. No one knows exactly why this project was canceled, but in Taking Shape 2, the book that has a lot of information about canceled Halloween films, they had an interview in it with Mr. Duddy Appleton, who did disclose that his feelings on the topic were that Dimension Films and the Acads were kind of in this battle about where to take the Halloween franchise next. The Acads, I don't believe, were happy with the way that Halloween Resurrection turned out and wanted to freshen the franchise up, maybe take it a little bit more serious again, make it a little bit more prestige, back to its roots. And I don't think that's how Dimension ever wanted to go with anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. In the end, the writers for Halloween Retribution didn't see a penny. Dimension refused to pay them. And when they went to their agent and when they went to the Writers Guild, all they were told is, unless you can afford to sue Dimension Films, let it go. And of course, who can afford to sue Harvey fucking Weinstein, especially in 2002? So they were left out to dry, which is really shitty and very indicative of what was going on behind the scenes with Dimension Films at the time. It especially sucks because I really liked the screenplay, and we're about to get into our thoughts on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it was actually like shockingly good to me. Like
Shockingly good. Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe like, and that's been the case with the unproduced Halloween scripts that I've read with this series in particular. The unproduced Halloween 4 by Dennis Etchison, really interesting and cerebral. And this was a beautifully written script with layers and motifs, and like it was just well written. A big chunk of it, like the overall sort of setting for this film is Halloween in the snow, which is really cool. I always love a snowbound slasher installment. We have an episode on the canceled snowbound Candyman from around the same year, which would have been interesting to see. And at the very beginning of this film, they allude to the snow setting by having like a book shred into a little 1,000 pieces and sort of rain down like snowflakes. So there's lots of like allusions and foreshadowing in the script that is actually quite elegant. So before I give a general description on what the script was about, what is our overall takeaway after reading it? How do we feel overall?
I kind of feel sad I didn't get to see this. Like, I found reading this script, like, it moved really fast for me.
Yeah.
Like, I found that I felt compelled to keep going, and I was like, this would have probably translated even better on screen. I also feel like it strikes like a nice balance between some of this like interesting character development and like lore about Michael Myers and and his family, but it also, there's some like cool kills and like some like cool environments that they go into.
Yes. So Emily, would you mind if I did my very best to sort of give a summary synopsis of Halloween Retribution?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so Halloween Retribution basically opens up with 7-year-old Michael still institutionalized about a year after he murdered his sister Judith. We have a brand new doctor by the name of Dr. Hill, obviously in reference to Deborah Hill, which is all nice and dandy, except for the fact it's a male doctor, which kind of undermines, the homage, but never mind.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I didn't like that too much. I mean, I love the reference to Deborah Hill because, we would never be here without her. It would have been nice to make it a woman doctor, especially in 2004. Like, we could have done that.
Yeah.
But never mind. So Dr. Hill comes in and meets 7-year-old Michael, who is basically catatonic, unresponsive. The nurse who introduces him says, this is pure evil. I don't know what you're doing here. You're disillusioned. There's nothing you can do to help. So he's left alone with little Michael. And for some fucking reason, he brings very sharp, like, coloring pencils. And it's like, hello, little murderer. Here's very sharp pencils. Do a drawing. Don't stab me. And of course, he stabs himself and then the doctor. And then the doctor's all freaked out. And Michael doesn't escape. But the mean nurse is like, see, he's terrible. Put him in the cellar. He's definitely evil, but also being terribly mistreated at Smith's Grove Sanitarium. We cut to the day that Halloween 1 takes place, and we see how Michael escapes the sanitarium, and he murders a bunch of orderlies, and it's pretty intense, lots of carnage, and it does give us some insight how he managed to escape Smith Grove, although it does not explain how he learned to drive. So, yeah. So we cut forward a bunch of years to after the events of Halloween Ressurection, and we meet a whole bunch of brand new teens, and it's Halloween, and of course some adults really want Halloween canceled. There are harbingers of doom. There are teenagers that just want to have fun. And we meet our new lead by the name of Leah, and she joins her friends in a great big van to go party at some cabin in the middle of nowhere. And she brings along her mute 14-year-old brother, Noah, because she can't just leave him at home, and she is coerced into going. Now, of course, things don't go according to plan, Their van breaks down in the middle of the wilderness and it begins to snowstorm. This is not something that happens a lot in Illinois, but it can happen, which is kind of a cool setup for a Halloween movie. So we have all these kids in the middle of a snowstorm, in the middle of nowhere, trying to find shelter. And the only shelter they manage to find is the abandoned Smith's Grove. They don't know what it is. They manage to get their way inside. They slowly but surely realize, oh, this is like an abandoned mental health facility. That's scary as all hell. And who shows up is Michael Myers. Now, simultaneous to all of this happening, we have Mr. John Tate. This is Josh Hartnett's character from Halloween H2O. He's on this sort of homecoming pilgrimage to figure out where Michael Myers is, to pay respects to his own dead mother. He's sort of going on this journey of the soul, and that is the B plot to this film. As the teenagers in Smith's Grove, find themselves in peril, John Tate somehow figures this out, teams up with Halloween 1 alum Sheriff Brackett, and they make their way to Smith's Grove to save this group of teens. Of course, only 2 of them end up surviving. In the end, John Tate is able to murder Michael Myers, but Michael Myers sort of drags him down into the lake. We don't know who's going to come back alive. It's John Tate, but John Tate now has the mask of Michael, and he's staring at it with real suspicious intensity, sort of alluding to that he may now be the darkest devil's eyes. The end. I feel like I did good.
I liked that ending.
Oh, me too.
Right? Like, I number one like that they brought John back because I've always wondered what happened to him.
Yeah, where'd he go? I know. And I like how they managed to give him substance over the events of a film that he didn't even show up in. It's very interesting.
Yeah. It's super interesting, and I wonder where they would have taken it after this if they made this movie, and then of course there was talk of another sequel. Like, would he really have stepped into the shoes? And
would have fans been hateful about that because people do not like replacing their slasher icons in the case of Friday the 13th Part 5. So I did happen to forget about one of our opening kills with Freddy. Do you remember that sequence? Do you want to walk us through what happened there?
Yeah, so as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Freddy is now an author, and he and John Tate actually meet at a book signing, where Freddy's kind of like, it really kind of reminded me of Scream 3.
Oh yeah, sorry, 3.
Scream 3, when like Gail is like doing lectures and talking about her book and all that stuff, and Freddy's kind of like taking it lightheartedly, and he's kind of like assumed this like hero sort of narrative. Anyways, he's kind of a bit of an asshole, like a charming asshole, and so he leaves the signing and he goes like into the parking lot, and he's struggling to get out, I guess, and then he goes up to the security van, and of course Michael's in it, and he basically attacks and kills him in this parking lot.
Do you remember how he kills him?
Freddy has like the copy of the book, which is called Unmasking the Monster.
That's so good. I have to get a copy of that.
And so he's got it to his chest, and like Michael stabs through the book and then eventually stabs through him. But I guess on the book cover is a photo of Freddy himself that like gets stabbed through as well.
Freddy got stabbered.
Freddy sure did. It's Freddy versus Michael. We
finally got it. It's happening. It's all happening. Yeah. So obviously Freddy, aka Buster Rhymes from Halloween Resurrection, is under contract to reappear in this film, at least on a cameo basis, just like Jamie Lee Curtis in Resurrection. And he does not make it very far, which is very in line with how these movies seem to do things. I don't understand why does he survive if you're just going to kill him off? I don't understand. It's like it's very similar Nightmare on Elm Street 4 vibes. Like, have all these cool characters that manage to survive. They do not last 5 minutes.
I know it sucks. There's always room for flashbacks and stuff. There is a book signing scene
Mm.
with Jigsaw himself in one of the later Saws, having rewatched all
Oh
of
my
those
God, there
recently.
is. Tell me
Yeah,
more.
you have to see it. Like Jigsaw's wearing like a backwards baseball cap, and he's at this.
No. Well, that's very Mask for Mask.
It's hilarious. So,
That sounds.
anyways,
It's like that Steve Buscemi meme.
yeah. It's exactly like that. Also, like Freddy having this book also kind of reminded me of Halloween 2, like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, when
Yep.
there's like Dr. Loomis has a book as well. It's kind of a recurring thing.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Do you remember the moment that kind of felt like a throwback to Friday the 13th Part 2?
Oh
Do
yeah.
you want to tell us a little bit about that moment?
Yeah, so Leia, she sort of pretends to be Judith Myers, right? Like it's not Laurie, right? It's Judith. And so she's pretending to be Judith to try to lure and sort of like trick Michael into
Not killing her.
not killing her, which is kind of funny because they're also like, well, he did.
Really
So-
wanted to kill her, yeah. But it is
Yeah.
confusing if you killed your sister 40 years ago and now she's like, girl, stop. What are you doing?
Yes. Like it's basically delaying the inevitable kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it works for a little while. But
it does.
yeah, it's not as successful, I'd say, as Friday the 13th Part 2 is.
Do you think
in
it was
terms of
a
that.
reference or an homage to Friday the 13th Part 2 where Ginny pretends to be Pamela Voorhees in the sweater? Or is this just a bit of a ripoff?
I think it's probably not an homage. Just knowing now that I've read about the writers of this, like I feel like they are not like huge horror heads. So
Yes.
I'm assuming that it's not a reference, but I think it's like a happy accident because I immediately like thought of Friday the 13th Part 2.
I did too. You know what?
Mhm.
It may not, you're right. It may not have been just a ripoff because it's not like this is the most unique idea of all time. Eventually someone else was going to have the same one. So that could have been it.
Yeah, but I think it was effective here. I liked that part. I liked, like I said earlier, I liked some of the kills. Like there was this one, there's always like a sexy kill.
Always.
And there's like one where like there's a girl that's like about to like give a guy a blowjob and then she's like, I'm going to get a beer, which is that is sort of a throwback to the OG
Oh, yeah.
Halloween. Yeah. And so she goes, and as she's going, like she gets killed by Michael, and the guy that she's supposed to be sleeping with has a blindfold on, so he feels his blood come on him, and then he like licks his lips, and he's like, a brewski or something like that. Yeah. So he's having blood, and then he gets killed. And there's some fun stuff with like an old pool in this, and
can you remind me of that?
Yeah, they just like basically they're all in like the bowels. I hate that.
Well, I love that. Keeping it in.
They're in the bowels of Smith's Grove, and so there's like different like areas, and there was sort of like a pool or like a water treatment area.
Oof.
And which is kind of is scary.
Oh, yeah.
But I liked that, and like also part of how Michael got out and around and back in the day was through like the tunnels underneath Smith's Grove, which become like the sort of the setting for the climax of the movie. Before the second climax, there's a few endings here, I would say.
Very Lord of the Rings Part 3, but yeah.
Yes, but not as long, I don't think. No. But the end of this movie is like set outside in like an icy landscape, which I thought was kind of cool.
Very cool. I know we've said it, but I don't think we've driven home enough the fact that this takes place, in the snow, in the ice, that we've sort of dropped the crunchy brown leaves aesthetic, the black, brown, orange aesthetic of Halloween, and have replaced it with like a very cold, white, scary, snowbound aesthetic. And it's really cool. It's a very nice direction to see it go in. We've heard about it possibly happening for many of the slashers. We talked about Candyman Part 4, which was going to take place in the snow. And there was an unmade Friday the 13th reboot sequel that was also going to be in the snow. I really want to see these movies.
Yeah, and I think like I could just kind of foresee the poster for this movie, like to see the white mask of Michael with the snow. Like I feel like it kind of there's something there,
Yeah, well, yeah, 150%.
Yeah.
Emily, how does this movie end?
So basically, the end has Leah and her brother Noah and Sheriff Brackett and John Tate like all sort of trying to defeat Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael falls through the ice.
Yeah.
And he goes under, and then, but he's, of course, he's not done yet, and he pulls John into the ice.
Mm-hmm.
John does come out again, and comes out with Michael's mask. We assume, and I don't think we know for sure that Michael is dead, but like he's presumed to be under the ice, which is like, I mean, it's hard to come back from that, but he was set afire.
Yeah.
The last movie,
Yep.
and he was okay. So
Freddy died by fire, Jason by water. How do we use that? It's my favorite line. Favorite line in any horror movie.
Yes. So, maybe there was another hole in the ice somewhere that he could have popped out from. Who knows? Yep. Pingu.
Yeah.
The idea is that he's probably dead. It actually kind of reminded me, I don't know if you saw the Megan Fox movie Till Death
No,
recently.
but I saw the poster.
Yes, and so it has a climax that's also on the ice with people going under and stuff. And I don't know about you, but I find like getting trapped under the ice, which plays into one of my favorite movies to die for as well.
Hell yeah.
Getting trapped under the ice is scary.
There's nothing scarier, Emily. Yeah, the ice stuff is great. I really like it. And I also thought it was really interesting within the writing when John Tate submerges into the really cold black water. And then when he emerges, he's like evil. Like something happened to him under the surface. And that's really, I'm going to use this word again, kind of cerebral and interesting.
Yeah. Like also did like hit like Michael Myers' soul like transfer into his?
That was the way it sounded when it happened.
Yeah, I don't know. But also, something like we've talked a lot about John Tate, but I would like to just like circle back to Sheriff Brackett briefly.
I think we haven't even touched on that. So can you give us some information about what's going on here?
Yeah, so Sheriff Brackett, if you guys remember, he's in the original Halloween. He was the sheriff, and his daughter, Annie, died. And so he also is looking for retribution for what Michael did. And so there's some like really interesting and I would say emotional moments with Sheriff Brackett where like he sees another like dead teen girl and he's like, and John's like, that's not Annie. That's not Annie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really sad.
Yeah, it's super sad. And then there's another part where Sheriff Brackett tries to shoot Michael and it doesn't, like there's no bullets in his gun. And I took down this like description in the script that I it's kind of cheesy, but I also liked it. Sheriff Brackett's standing there waiting for Michael to finish him off, but Michael's not interested in him. He destroyed him long ago.
Oh, it makes me sad.
I know. He just is a sad man.
Dad. I hate sad dad.
I know. It really kind of breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah. Me too.
But I am happy for him in the same sense that he did get to see Michael go down in this way.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And that, you know what? And that is therapy. He's fine now. He's totally fine. Yeah, these moments of tragedy that are effective is just like, oh yeah, this is good writing. This is good. No wonder it didn't get made.
Yeah.
It's too good.
I also wanted to sort of note that something that I liked about this script was like the kids didn't sound too ridiculous. Like they were like there is some bad dialogue, but I've read some other treatments where and I won't get into it, but I've read some other treatments for like Halloween sequels or even just other like slasher possible sequels that like the kids just sound like insane.
Yeah. Like sex crazed 55-year-olds. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. It's like it's trying too hard. And this one, like I'm not saying like it was perfectly written or anything, but I think that it's like a little bit less like obvious and a little bit like the tropes are still there. Like there's still obviously I said like somebody gets killed after a sex scene, like that's very like tropey.
Hell yeah.
But I think like I didn't like cringe all the time. Like I could have been cringing more.
I agree with you. I really like the setting. I really like a bottled setting. I think that's fun, scary, and simple in a way that I really like. I liked the main teen. I liked Leah, and I liked her 14-year-old brother. I found the rest of the teens to be extremely forgettable in line with the other sequels. And in my opinion, that was kind of one of the ways that this script didn't transcend its predecessors, although it did in many other ways. So I don't want to be a greedy, greedy little man.
Yeah, like I'm not I couldn't tell you the like differentiating like personality traits of the other characters.
Yeah, it's like
sure.
if the boys were horny and like the girls were vacant. And I even think one of the female characters was described as vacant, which at least you're being honest with yourself.
Yeah, and she was definitely a blonde character, which I resent. So
Tanya with an O? Was this one?
Yes.
Tanya with an O. Tanya with an O. Who do we prefer? Tanya with an O, Tanya with an A?
I guess an A. I don't know why.
Yep, I'm feeling the A. Sorry, Tanya's with an O. You're out. My favorite callback reference that was mentioned at least 3 times was quoting Outkast's hit track, Miss Jackson.
Okay, but I will say it was misquoted.
Oh, tell me more. Tell me more.
Because I think it's hello, Miss Jackson is what the person says. And it's like, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson is the lyric.
You know what? There's something like if I was to be quoting a song, I would be misquoting it. So this is just realism. This is naturalism. This is theater of cruelty, honey.
I guess. I think I just know it so well because
it's the best song.
Also, Perry is Perry Jackson, my boyfriend.
Yeah. So you are Miss Jackson.
Yes, or I could be singing it to his mom.
Or sorry. To him.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. I am for real. But yeah, they're like, I would say this, I expected this movie for no reason other than, it didn't get made. I expected this movie to be much more embarrassing than it was. And I felt like it was much more substantial. And I could tell that the writers did really put some thought into this one and into making it different. Like we've talked a ton about the snow, but you have to kind of respect that they weren't we're just going to do the exact same thing as every other Halloween movie.
Yes, absolutely. But this did feel like the BBC Halloween. Did it not? It had BBC, if BBC produced a Halloween sequel all over it. The Brits, they're good. They know how to write with a little bit of layer.
Yeah. It's devoid of color, but there's so many interesting characters.
Literally that. It's just we've covered it all, big and small. What are our overall thoughts? I feel like I have a sense of it, but let's get it into a neat little package.
Yeah, I think that Halloween Retribution, aka Halloween Retribution 25 years later, but it didn't actually get made.
They didn't make it. Yeah.
I think it was I wish I could have seen it. And I don't always feel that way when we look at some of these scripts. I feel like this had potential. And this is I think if they had a couple more drafts too, it would have been even tighter. So I really feel kind of sad I didn't see this, especially because I think it would have been kind of an interesting finale to this trilogy that's H2O, Ressurection, and then Retribution.
Yes.
I feel like
I love a mid-franchise trilogy.
Yeah.
What would you say the other mid-franchise trilogies are out there in this world?
Not just in Halloween, because I
there
guess
is one in Halloween,
yeah, 4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6, absolutely, yes.
And then I guess, would you say 3, 4, 5?
Yep.
5?
If you're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, then yes.
I was, yeah.
Big yes in a Sunday dress. I don't foresee there being many related Friday the 13th, but maybe I'm just not as familiar. Yeah, I was thinking about those 2 examples specifically as a mid-franchise trilogy, and I live for it. Oh, and obviously we're in the midst of one right now with Halloween. Very excited to see how Halloween Kills turns out. Yeah.
I'm going in with low expectations, which really could bode well for me.
Because last time we had the opposite, which is always dangerous to do, especially with a Halloween movie. Come on. Do you think Lindsay Wallace is going to be the Drew Barrymore of Halloween Kills?
Wow. I kind of love that. And I think it's very possible because also that the woman who plays Lindsay Wallace is a housewife.
She is.
And so I think that would be kind of a move, to appeal to a even different audience too.
Do you think, given the chance she would steal the Myers house away from Michael. Well,
Maybe.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
I feel the same. It was really good. It was surprisingly nuanced. It was layered. It was well written. There was moments of tragedy. It was kind of scary. There were a couple of funny moments too. It was like kind of a perfect sequel. It was kind of like a perfect slasher, really tragic. That Dimension were run by a bunch of imbeciles and weren't able to see this for what it was. Not surprising though. Emily, are we excited for Halloween Kills? How do you feel? I already mentioned my feelings.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm always excited to have a new Halloween movie, and I'll watch them all, even though there has been ups and downs for me.
Yeah.
But I think I just am really drawn to Michael Myers as a character, and I'm drawn to Laurie Strode. So I think, I have to watch Halloween Kills. Like,
do we have
I just do.
Peacock in Canada? I feel like no.
We do not. So that is kind of an interesting twist. Both Josh and I live in Canada. We live in Toronto.
Hi.
And so I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to roll out, because it's complicated. If we don't have Peacock, like, where does it land? And oftentimes, as somebody who does also have another job working for like a broadcaster, I know that the rights things they're kind of complicated.
They're wild, yeah.
So
I have a feeling that we're not going to have a streaming option in Canada.
I have a feeling too.
We didn't get that for Malignant, and we didn't get that for Zola. There's a lot of that stuff that we're not getting.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? There's still time. Like, Halloween Kills, what is it, coming out on the 15th? Between now and then, we're recording this pretty early in the month. So I feel like maybe there could be a surprise in our midst. Maybe Crave is working on it.
Crave is always has something up its sleeve. For those who don't know, Crave is kind of like Canada's HBO Max.
Correct.
Come on,
Correct.
This is the case. If you're listening, Crave, Emily, where can you be found on the internet?
Wow. I've tried to scrub everything of me off the internet, but I haven't done a good job.
Carrie Tate.
I love Carrie Tate, I relate. So I am on Twitter at Emily Gagne. That's EMILY GAGNE. On Instagram, you can find me at Lady Gagne. Yes, you heard that right. And also, as I mentioned earlier, I have another Instagram profile called Final Girl Fashion that I'd love if you could follow, because I feel like this month I'll be posting a bunch of great fashionable horror ladies.
How could you not? It would be an atrocity if you didn't. And honestly, if you have not subscribed to Dread Central's newsletter, The Harbinger, what are you waiting for, huh?
There's gonna be a gif of that in a future issue of The Harbinger.
Thank God.
I can guarantee.
Thank God. Well, I mean, I have squeezed Helen Shivers into Horoscopes, and other initiative by Dread Central, so we got to keep the spirit alive.
And we've got I Know What You Did Last Summer series coming. So
yes, we do.
It's relevant.
Yes, we do. And I'm very excited about that. And we're going to be doing some interesting Dread Central content with some of the creators of I Know What You Did Last Summer, the Amazon series. And I cannot wait for everybody to find out more.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
Yes. Well, that's it, Emily. Thank you so much for coming back. You're always a great time. You know your shit when it comes to Halloween. And you're my oldest friend. That's all. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. And we'll be back with another episode of Development Hell.
Thank you for listening to the Dread Podcast Network.